Human beings have a long history of not knowing what to do with the freedom that Jesus shares with us. The timeless urge for spiritual accomplishment always seems to find a way to attach religious expectations to everything we do. So what is it that keeps us in a perpetual cycle of never experiencing the freedom we always talk about? After an honest look at church strategies, you think the problem is a lack of activity and accountability. But what if the greatest barrier to people taking their freedom seriously is they've never experienced freedom inside the spiritual frameworks they defend with a vengeance? That was my story. It would be 15 years of planting churches, preaching sermons, and pleading with members before I realized that people can only enjoy what they have personally experienced. Perhaps the best way to illustrate this timeless principle is with the story of Dario Chechny. As the son of a fourth-generation butcher, Dario left his Italian village to go pursue a career as a veterinarian. In his words, "My desire was to care for animals, not kill them." But that dream ended when Dario received the call at school that his father had passed away. Returning home to take over his father's business, he was completely overwhelmed with the loss of the man he adored and the responsibility to provide for his siblings. And as he struggled in his new role, he remembered his father's words, "If you ever need help, find Orlando, and he'll show you the way." For decades, Orlando was the meat selector for Dario's father. Dario told him, "When I'm cutting meat, I feel great pain." Orlando looked at him and passionately said, "It's not about cutting meat." To show him what he meant, he took Dario to the farmers who raised the cows. And it was there that he discovered the butcher has a path of life beside the animal, not detached from them. Seeing the true nature of his father's work, Dario found new life in his new role. But there was just one problem. Dario's customers only wanted steak. That's all they knew. And Dario didn't think that it was right to kill an animal for just a steak. "I tried to explain this to my customers," he said, "but they cared less and less. I needed a solution, and that's where it hit me. The only way to not waste anything from a cow's life is to put all of it into food on a plate to make them finally understand." In his words, "I was going to teach people how to eat well." So he decided to open his first restaurant, Sulicia, meaning just meat. The place consisted of one large communal table and food made from all the parts of the cow considered less noble. From snout to tail, everything was served but one thing. Steak. In the words of many of the chefs who have traveled there from around the world, this is a place where you sit down and partake in things that you would have never considered eating. But when you taste the meat, your mouth starts to take in textures and flavors you've never encountered before. And the larger fears that you have dissolve, and you're deliciously surprised. People leave there, they say, and they leave changed. You see, Dario knew people's minds would be changed about how to eat a cow only by trying it. So he replaced platitudes with plates and antagonisms with appetizers. And with everyone gathered at a singular table, it would be impossible to miss the expressions on faces as they would beam in delight at something brand new and delicious. The news spread, and all the questioners were convinced. Like Dario, I found people's minds are changed about how to take freedom seriously only by trying it. So Lark makes space for people to experience freedom alongside others. That's what our events are all about. From local parties to retreats to an annual shindig, we offer discipleship as an apprenticeship of celebration. See, people are rarely transfigured by something written on paper in a formula. On the other hand, when we try something new, we discover that our distaste for it was due not to the inherent taste, but to our not have tasted it before. Watching someone live free when you're not is like watching them step off a cliff without a parachute. You obviously know better, and they're as good as gone. Until they show you that falling free falling into the Father's acceptance is freedom. And there's nothing quite like it in all the world.